Dear viewers, welcome to the course Data Structures and Applications. This is session 6 of Module 3. Myself, Satisha MS, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Canara Engineering College, Bantwal, Mangalore. In this session, we are going to study the continuation of applications of a linked list. In the previous session, we have already studied some of the applications of the linked list. So in this session, under the application of a linked list, we are going to study how to represent the sparse matrix using linked list concept, and we'll start with double linked list concept. What do you mean by double linked list? How to represent the double linked list, and what are the operations that can be performed on the double linked list? All those things we are going to study in this presentation. Sparse matrix representation using linked list. You people have already studied what you mean by sparse matrix and how to represent the sparse matrix in the computer science field. So all those things you people have already studied. Sparse matrix is nothing but a matrix which contains more number of zeros entries. And you know, the element with the value 0 is of no use during the execution of the program. That's why in the model number 1 you have studied how to store only the non-zero elements of a sparse matrix using a concept called as row column value method. Using row column value method, you have seen how to store only the non-zero elements. So if you store only the non-zero elements of the sparse matrix, the space required for your program and time taken by a program to complete the task is automatically get increased. It will take a less time and it will take a less space to store the elements. Now we'll see how to represent the sparse matrix using linked list concept. So in the representation of this sparse matrix, we are going to make use of two types of a node. One is a header node. This is a representation of a sparse matrix using header node concept. So here there are two types of nodes are used to represent the sparse matrix. One is a header node. Header node is consists of three fields: next field, down field, and a right field. So here the next field is used to join all the header nodes together, and down field is always pointing to the list in the column, and right field is always pointing to the list in the row. This is very important. Next field is used to link all the header nodes together. Next field is used to link all the header nodes together. Down field is used to pointing to the list in the column, and right field is always pointing to the list in the row. And the number of header nodes to represent the sparse matrix is equal to the maximum number of rows and columns. And next one is element node. In the element node, you are using these many fields: row, column, value. Row represent the row number of the particular non-zero element, column number of the particular non-zero elements, and a value of a non-zero element. Down, the field down is pointing to the non-zero elements which is present in the same column, and right is pointing to the next non-zero elements. Sorry, down is pointing to the next non-zero elements which is present in the column, and right is pointing to the next non-zero element in the present in the row. So this is the different nodes which are used in the sparse matrix representation using the linked list concept. So this diagram shows the representation of the sparse matrix. This is the given sparse matrix which is represented using a two-dimensional array. So as I already mentioned that while representing elements of the sparse matrix, either by using the row column value method, what you studied in the model number 1, or by using a linked list concept, what you have studied now, here we are going to store only the non-zero element. So here how many number of non-zero elements? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this diagram shows the representation of the sparse matrix using linked list, representation sparse matrix using linked list with header node. So first you have to decide the number of header nodes for each row and column of a sparse matrix using linked list. So how many number of columns in the given sparse matrix? Number of columns are 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 columns ranging from 0 to 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 columns, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0 to 4, there is 5 rows and 4 columns. So therefore how many number of header nodes? Number of header nodes in each row and a column is equal to the maximum of number of rows and number of columns. So here 4 rows and 5 columns, so therefore we'll be having 5 header node. Maximum of 4 comma 5 is 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 header nodes. Here 5 header nodes, and here also 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0 to 4, 5 header nodes. These are the header nodes. So each header node will be having 3 fields. So one is first is next, down, and right. So as I already mentioned that the next field is used to link all the header nodes together. So here next field is pointing to the next header node. So here it is used to link all the header nodes together. This is circular representation of a sparse matrix, circular representation with header node. Sparse matrix representation using circular representation with header node. So therefore here it is pointing to the beginning node, that is entry node, or you can say tag node. So tag node will be having row column value, so and down and right. So how many number of rows? As I already mentioned that, so number of number of columns is equal to, sorry, there is a small mistake in this entry. Here first entry is for the number of rows, second entry is for the number of columns, third entry is for the number of non-zero elements. So with respect to this example, how many number of rows? Number of rows are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 should come here. And how many number of columns? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 columns. So there is a mistake in the entry. Here it is 5, here it is 4. So number of non-zero elements are 6. And so you know the header node is like this, next, down and right. So down is pointing to the list in the column, and right is pointing to the list in the row. So like this the representation goes. Let us take the first non-zero element in this matrix. What's the first non-zero element? First non-zero element is 2. Where the 2 is present? The 2 is present in the 0th row and 0th column. So that's why row column value is 2, row value is 0, and column value is 0, 0, 0, 2. And down, the field down is pointing to the list in the column, and the field right is pointing to the next non-zero elements. There is no next zero element in this row, so therefore it is pointing to its header node. Because it's circular representation, it's pointing to its header node. And the right is pointing to the element in the particular row, that row. And here it's a header node, that's why the down is not pointing to anywhere. So same way here also, right is pointing to the elements in its row. Since these are the header nodes, not the elements node, so therefore right is not pointing to anywhere. So this is the first non-zero element. Next, next non-zero element is 4. So where that 4 is present? 4 is present in the 0, 1 column, first row, and 0th, so next non-zero element is present in the first row, 0th column, and value is 4. And next non-zero element is 3. 3 is present in the first row, 3rd column, element is 3. So here the down field is pointing to the next non-zero element in the same column. So next non-zero element in the column number 0 is 3. That's why down is pointing to the next non-zero element in the 0th column is 8. Therefore down is pointing to the element 8. and right is pointing to the next non-zero element in the same row. So next non-zero element in the same row is 3, that's why it is pointing to 3. Okay, so then next non-zero element is 3, which is present in one first row third column and 3. So here there is no element there is no next non-zero element in the same row, therefore it is pointing to its header node. And in the column number 3 next non-zero element is this one, that's why it is pointing to here. So after 2 4 and 3 next non-zero element is 8. So 8 is present in the third row, 0 1 2 3 third row and zeroth column, third row and zeroth column element is 8, 3 0 8. So here after 3, so downfield is pointing to its header node, because after the element 8, there is no non-zero element in the same column, therefore downfield is pointing to its header node, and right field is pointing to the next non-zero element in the same row, that is 1, it is pointing to 1. So next non-zero element is 1. 1 is present in the third row and third column, so therefore it is 3 3 1. So after 3 3 1, in the column number 3, there is after the element 1 there is no non-zero elements, so therefore down is pointing to its header node and right is pointing to its header node. So therefore the last non-zero element is 6. So 6 is present in the fourth row and second column and element is 6. So downfield is pointing to its header node, because there is no non-zero element in that particular column after 6, and right is pointing to its header node, because there is no non-zero element in that particular row. So here this is pointing to the same header node, because down there is no column number 4, there is no column number 4 here, column numbers are 0 1 2 and 3, there is no column, therefore it is pointing to itself. Okay, so like this way we can represent the sparse matrix using a linked list concept. So next it is doubly linked list. You people have already studied the concept of singly linked list and circular singly linked list. Why the name singly linked list? Because either in the simple linked list or single linked list, or in the circular single linked list, there will be having only one link field. So the disadvantage of having a single link field is that you can traverse the single linked list in only one direction. For example, if we consider this single linked list uh, consists of three nodes, consists of three nodes in it. So here if it is a normal single linked list, link field of the last node holds the value null and is always pointed by the variable first. So here you can traverse this list in only one direction, that is only in the forward direction. So suppose if it is a circular single linked list, the link field of the last node holds the base address of the first node, so it is pointing to the first node. Even in the circular single linked list also, we can traverse the linked list in only forward direction, it's not possible to traverse this list in a backward direction or reverse direction. We can traverse either it is a normal single linked list or it is a circular single linked list. You can traverse the linked list in only forward direction. So there are some situations where you need to traverse the linked list in both forward as well as the reverse direction. By that time you will go for the doubly linked list. So say for example, when you are there in this particular node, it's not possible to access the node which is present predecessor to that node. You can access only the node which is present next to that node. So if you wanted to access this node, you have to visit all the nodes in case of a circular single linked list, and then you come back to the first node, then you can access. Okay, so this is the main disadvantage of simple linked list or circular singly linked list. because we will be having only one field in it. So that disadvantage can be overcome by using the concept of doubly linked list. So as the name itself indicates that in case of doubly linked list there will be two link field. So this is the representation of the double linked list. It will be like this. In the node of a single linked list we'll be having only two fields, data field and a link field. So link field holds the base address of the next node. So unlike a single linked list, in case of a double linked list there will be three fields in it. So one is left, first field is left field. It holds the address of its predecessor node or previous node. And the right link is always holds the address of its next node. Previous node address is available in the left link field, and next node address is available in the right link field. And data field, you are going to store the actual data. So data field. So therefore since we are having two link fields in a node, we can traverse in any direction, both in forward as well as the reverse direction. So now we'll see the how definition of a representation of a double linked list, how to represent the double linked list inside a memory. This is the structure definition. Here we are using the type def keyword, and the struct node star is renamed as node pointer. Node pointer is by using the type def keyword you can rename the struct node star as a node pointer. Then type def, so node pointer link left link field, and element data. The structure definition of an element you have already seen in the beginning of this module. So element, because data field can have more than one entity in it, but generally while writing a node of a double linked list or node of a single linked list, we used to show only the one entity, but you can have more than one entity. By that time we can go for a structure definition. So that's why it's of type element. Elements itself is a structure. Then right link field, this is the right link field of a node. Right link field, left link field, and data field. So this is the circular representation of a doubly linked list. So in your syllabus you are directly going to study the circular representation of the double linked list. So therefore this is the double linked list. They will be having the three nodes in the circular double linked list. So this is the header node, circular double linked list with the header node, circular double linked list with the header node. So this is the header node. So data field of the header node contains nothing, and this is the actual double linked list, with three nodes. Left link field holds the, or in the left link field you are going to store the left link field of the first node is holding the address of a header node. Same way the right link field of the last node, left link field of the first node and right link field of the last node holds the address of its header node if the double linked list with the header node. Suppose if the double linked list without header node, then left link field of the first node and right link field of the last node holds the value null. Generally the left link field of the first node and right link field of the last node holds the value null if the double linked list is not having a header node. If the double linked list with a header node, or if the double linked list is having a header node, by that time the left link field of the first node and right link field of the last node holds the address of a header node. So therefore left link field of a header node is pointing to the left link field of the header node is pointing to the last node, and right link field of the header node is pointing to the first node. So this is the representation of the double linked list. That is the how actually you are going to store a double linked list inside a memory. Insertion into a double linked list. This function will explain how to insert a node to right of a existing node. Return type of this function is void. Name of the function is dinsert, that is double linked list insert, inserting a node to the double linked list, and it will take two parameter. So one is a node, it's a pointer variable, it's pointing to a node, and new node, it's a newly created node which you wanted to insert now. So here the new node is pointing to the newly created node. This node, that is new node, is already created from the main function, and we are sending the address of the newly created node from the main function to this function. So inside this function we are not having any instructions to create a new node. So therefore this node is already been created in the main function, and address of that newly created node has been sent to this function. So now let us assume that these are the nodes in the circular double linked list. So circular double linked list with the 3 node is here shown here. And the header node is like this. The data field of the header node is nothing. We are storing nothing to the data field of its header node. So here right link field of this node is pointing to its next node, and left link field is pointing to its predecessor node. So here this node is pointing to here, and this one is pointing to here. And then here the left link field of a node is pointing to its header node, and right link field of this node is pointing to the header node. So here right link field is pointing to this node, and left link field is pointing to this node. This you have already seen in the previous slide. Now we'll see how to insert a node to a right of a node pointed by a variable node. Let us assume that this is the node pointed by the variable node, and you have already created a new node. You have created a node with the name new node. This node has been already created from a main function and has been sent from the main function. Address has been sent from the main function to this function. So name of this node is new node. New node. Okay, so new node of L-link. So here this is the left link field of this new node. This is the right link field of the new node. You wanted to store the address of this node in the left link field. So address of this node is available in the variable node, and address of this node should be in the right link field of this node. So address of this node is available in the right link field of this. So therefore new node of L-link is equal to node. New node of L-link is equal to node means the address of this node is stored here. So therefore this link is existed. This link is get existed. So then after that, new node of R-link. So this is the new node of R-link. This is the new node of R-link is equal to node of R-link. So node of R-link is this one. Here we are having the address of this node. Address of this node should be stored here. So therefore new node of R-link is equal to node of R-link. So this link is get existed now. This link is get existed. So then after that you have to remove these two links, and this new node becomes the next node to the node. So therefore at this point of time this is the node is the next node to the node, but you have to insert a new node to the next of a node. So therefore you have to store the address of this node in the right link field of a node and left link field of this node. So how to access this field now? So node of R link is this one. Of L link means this field. See here, node of R link is this field. Node of R link means this field. Here we are having the address of this node. So node of R link of L link means this field. To this field you are going to store the address of a new node. So therefore this link is removed. This link is removed, and this is get existed. This link is get existed. So node of R link of L link. Node is this one. R link is this one. Of L link means this field. To that field you are going to store the new node, address of a new node. This is the use of this instructions. The use of this instruction is to store the address in the left link field of this node, new node address in the left link field of this node. Then next node of R link. So node of R link is this one. Here this link is removed. This link is removed, and this is going to be existed like this. So this is how you can insert a node or a new node to the right of a node pointed by a variable node. The content of this presentation has been taken from these two textbooks. So one is Sahani and Seymour Lipchud. So thank you one and all.